This is Dr. Don Ibbotson with Above and Beyond Christian Counseling. In this short video, I'm going to outline 3 practical steps that you can take to begin to receive healing when a close friend betrays you. Everyone has experienced the sting of betrayal by a close friend or relative. We expect those close to us, especially our confidants, to be for us and not against us. We can be shaken to the very fiber of our being when wounded like that, and quite frankly, I've seen it in counseling situations. Many people never recover from the hurt. Now, I'm going to lay out 3 practical biblical steps that you can take to lessen the pain and begin the healing process. Now, the course of human history is full of many who have seen the fruits of treachery from those that they trusted. One of the more famous ones in literary works is Julius Caesar in Shakespeare's classic, who was confounded when Brutus turned against him, and he proclaimed in wonderment, "Et tu, Brute," just before he fell dead from a dagger thrust. Whether Caesar actually uttered those words or not is really immaterial, but you can tell the emotional pain and the angst that Caesar experienced was captured in that scene, and really has endured since Shakespeare's time. Now, let's look at the Bible, a biblical illustration. King David in the Old Testament was betrayed by people he trusted also. He was a man after God's own heart, and he frequently wore his emotions on his sleeves. Now, many of the Psalms that he's written reflect his deep introspection and the personal struggles that he had. And he almost invariably ended up at God's throne for him to hear and to respond to. The Lord saw fit to include one of these encounters in the Bible, in Psalm 55, so we can learn from them today. In verse 13 of Psalm 55, David tells us who betrayed him. He said, "But it is you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend." In the verses that follow, he says that the offender was one who walked with him in the temple. He lamented, as we all do, that we expect our foes to come against him. He says this in verse 12, "But the torment for him is great when the offender is someone close to him. Is there any wounding that's more painful than that from a Christian brother or sister?" Now, let's look at how he responded. First of all, he begins by acknowledging to himself and also before God. He does not try to hide or deny his emotional pain. He was distraught, anguished, and fearful. His initial inclination, quite frankly, was to flee to the desert. Let's look at verses 2 to 8. It says, "Hear me and answer me. Thy thoughts trouble me, and I am distraught because of what my enemy is saying, because of the threats of the wicked, for they bring down suffering upon me and assail me in their anger. My heart is anguished within me. The tears of death had fallen on me." And he goes on to say, finally, in verse 7 and 8, he said, "I would flee far away and stay in the desert. I would hurry to the place of shelter, far from the tempest and storm." Okay, spells it out pretty clearly how he feels. Secondly, after getting that off his chest, he then pours his heart out to God about the situation. And you see this in verses 16 and 17. He says, "As for me, I call to God, and the Lord saves me. Every morning and noon I cry out in distress, and he hears my voice." Very clear how David responds. He takes his pain and sorrow. After he's got it out, he takes it to God about the situation. And finally, in point 3, and this is extremely important, he releases the whole situation to God. Let's look at verses 22 and 23. He says, "Cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. But you, God, will bring down the wicked into the pit of decay. The bloodthirsty and deceitful will not live out half their days. But as for me, I will trust in you." You see, in verse 22, he purposes to cast his cares upon God, who will sustain him. He also releases the offender over to the Lord and declares that as for him, he will trust in God. Now, it's interesting. We have a New Testament scripture where Jesus gives us a different direction rather than, and the encouragement there, he says in Luke 6:27 into 28, is to bless those who curse you and pray for those who mistreat you. So you see, you still release them over to the Lord, though, just as David did. Look at David did the right thing. Rather than complaining to others about his betrayal, he took all his hurt and wounding before the Lord. During his time with him, after he'd gotten everything off of his chest, he was able to release the entire situation. He knew because of his relationship and his trust in God, that God would take care of his enemies, make provision for his emotional healing, and also protect him from his enemies. Each of these actions, you see, resulted from conscious choices that David made. He had a relationship with God that allowed him to trust in him for all these situations to come to pass. Really, the call for us today is really no different. When you're betrayed, you take all of your pain and hurt before Jesus. He too suffered betrayal, and he can relate to your pain at every level. The Bible then charges us to take our thoughts captive, extend forgiveness, renew our mind and trust in the Lord if we want to walk in peace. And in that scripture I mentioned, Luke 6:27 and 28, about praying for those who mistreat you, that will help bring healing as well. Are you up to the challenge? If you need help walking through this, seek it. Pastors, mature friends, and Christian counselors are available to help you walk through the anguish. Don't let the wound fester. Thank you for watching.